Let's go, girls.
Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe.
Let's go. It is WTF, Women Talking Football. Not to be confused with WFT. We are the Women, a pair of producers for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Back here for week 6 of the Texas high school football season. I am the executive producer. My name is Ashley Pickles. Sitting over there running the show today is Miss Mallory Hartley, our associate producer. Howdy.
Hello.
Oh, you're in the all black thing again where you look like a floating head.
Oh, crap. I always forget about that. I think I wore black. Yes. Did I wear black yesterday? No, I did not. But I did that on ROF last week, and I was like, oh, yeah, I look like a floating head.
It happens. Big show today. It is, like we mentioned earlier, week 6 of the Texas high school football season, and that means we're doing the 6th edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, our new whip-around coverage show where we dive into games live. Think NFL Red Zone, but for Texas high school football. With all of our games that we have on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, we will reveal those spotlight games. We always focus on about 6 to 8 different spotlight games, but don't worry, we've got highlights and scores coming in all across the state. We dive into much more games than just this, but here are our big games for week 6. Then in the back half of the show, let's talk a little Texoma region, why don't we? We're going to be joined by K10 sports director and anchor Davis Baker. Incredibly excited to have him on and get his thought on just the little region that could. Geographically speaking, not huge. When it comes to talent level and what they're able to do there, massive. So incredibly excited to talk some Texoma ball with Davis. How has your week gone?
It's good. Hasn't been as busy as last week. Stayed up here pretty late on Monday night, but besides that, it's been pretty good. Not bad.
Cruising along, we are. And that means another episode of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Let's take a look and reveal the spotlight games for week 6. A reminder, you can stream this show for free on TexanLive.com or right here on YouTube. We simulcast it to both every single Friday night from 7:30 to 10.
Let's get right into it.
So let's go.
First,
starting off Thursday night. Were you going to say something?
No, I just said first spotlight game.
There we go. A Thursday night tonight. How about this one? Cy-Fair taking on Jersey Village, the top 2 teams in District 17 6A. And if you're into quarterbacks, this is a matchup for you. Cy-Fair quarterback Trey Owens has looked outstanding. Jersey Village quarterback Adam Tran has looked very good. You can expect this one to probably be pointsy. I think it's going to come down to whose defense can stop them. But that one happening tonight on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, I believe. Let me pull up the schedule here. I believe that Tom Vinay is on the call for that one, and that is correct. So 6:30 p.m. Pridgeon Stadium. You can watch it on TexanLive.com or catch all the highlights tomorrow on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. The other Thursday night game that we will be highlighting, Eric Folkert's on the call for this one down at Legacy Stadium in Katy, Texas. 7:15 p.m. tonight. The race for the wild district that is 19-6A continues here. Katie Taylor, the Mustangs, taking on the Falcons of Katy Tompkins. And we're starting to get into the point, especially in this district. There's a couple other ones across the state where, yeah, you focus on the top teams, but if you take a step back and you look at the teams that are really starting to fight for what we believe will be the 3rd and 4th place spot in their district, meaning that, hey, we want to make it to the playoffs, so here's what we're doing. I think this is a prime example of what this game is. Both of these teams have looked good at times and have also not looked great at others. Tompkins has been a really weird team this year. They have beat people they probably shouldn't have, and they have fallen to people they probably shouldn't have. That loss in Week 4 against Katy Cinco Ranch looked really bad for them. So interested to see where Todd McVay can get this team going. Meanwhile, Katie Taylor could make it 3-0 in district play and really solidify themselves as one of the teams that could secure one of those playoff spots. We'll talk about the other 2 playoff spots in a minute because it's another one of our games. But moving on into Friday night, we stay down in the Houston area. This one, a battle in District 16 6A, which is another one of those districts that you got to look all across those top 4 spots. Cy Springs, the Panthers, 4-0 for the first time in program history. They're going to try and continue on that streak, taking on the Cy Ranch Mustangs, 3-1 on the year, 1-0 in district play from down there at Cy Fair FCU Stadium. Chris Elliott will be on the call and joining us. That one kicks off at 7. Not only real fast are they 4-0 for the first time in program history, but this is big because Cy Springs hasn't made the playoffs in over 20 years. Mm-hmm. So this is a real good test to see how far this Cy Springs team could go.
Well, and I feel like when you look down in that district too, you talk about Cy Fair a lot, but it's refreshing to see that a lot of these teams are also contenders this year as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that one should be a very, very sneakily good game there on Texan Live. Moving on now, staying still in the Houston area, let's bounce over to District 14 6A as Spring Decaney, the Wildcats, 3-1 on the year, 1-0 in district play, taking on the Mustangs of Spring Westfield. Decaney, off to obviously a very hot start after advancing to the regional semifinals last year. Coach actually said before the season he thinks that this is the most impressive team that they've had since their state title run in 2011. So not necessarily coming out from under the radar perhaps from Decaney, but I think if you start to look from a statewide perspective, that might shock a couple of people. On the other side of that, Matt Meekins is going to try and pick up his Mustang squad again, 2-2 on the year, really got handed to him by North Shore, and then lost a close one to Hightower, but that being said, if Westfield wants to get back up to the point where they're really in that statewide talks, they're going to need, this is the exact type of game that they have got to go out there and win. So that one should be fun out from beautiful Planet Ford Stadium in Spring. Sean Bajani will be on the call and joining us at halftime of that one. Let's stick in the Houston area because I mentioned it, 19-6A is just fun right now. And it seems like for so many years, it's been that team right there. They're Gary Joseph and his 8th-ranked Katy Tigers just completely leading the way and then letting everybody else figure it out. Allow me to introduce you to number 25, state-ranked Katy Jordan. The Warriors ranked for their first time in program history. Now, this is the newest school down in the Katy School District. Katy Jordan.
More impressive, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Katy Jordan, 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
This is a battle, and it's funny because Katy is 4-1. When's the last time that we've seen Katy play someone in their own district who was undefeated and they had a loss on the season?
Right, yeah.
So this game will answer a lot of those questions that everybody's asking about District 19-6A. This will really be kind of the, okay, is Jordan for real? Because the other thing that they're going into it, when at this point in the year have you seen Katy have a loss on their record? You
right.
Don't. That never happened. So they know that they are beatable. Can Katy Jordan do the unthinkable and take down the big bad beast that is Katy? Very interested to see how that goes off. Michael Silvers on the call for that one at 7:15 at Legacy Stadium. Moving on now, let's go out east. The number 1 ranked Tyler Chapel Hill Bulldogs out of 4A Division 1 in District 9 there, taking on their district foe in the Palestine Wildcats from Wildcat Stadium in Palestine, Texas. Brett Sweeney and his guys will be on the call at 7:30. It's been the Demetrius Brisbane show for Chapel Hill. Can Palestine's defense match up to the absolute threat that Brisbane has been on the ball? We will find out with you. Moving now into the DFW area. I know there is one person on our staff who is quite excited that this game is on Texan Live. That's Coppell alum Greg Tepper, who has made it publicly known that if Coppell wins this game, he will do Texas football today on Monday in his Coppell Letterman's jacket from what I can only assume are the Dark Ages because he's so old.
Correct.
But how about this? Louisville taking on Coppell at Buddy Eccles Field. Grayson Ouellette and Cody Barfnick on the call there, 7 o'clock p.m. I don't necessarily want to get completely ahead of myself, but I very well think that this could be the game that decides the District 6 6A title at the end of the season. And it's crazy we're already getting it, but this one should be just a ton of fun. Louisville does have a pair of Vernon Ellison, their running back, and they're leading their defense is Jaden Hardy. You'll hear Powers, if you watch the show tomorrow night, talk a lot about him and what he brings to the table in the Cruton Corner, talking about the top 10 defensive backs. But this one is a tasty one up here in the greater DFW area. We round it all out now by heading back down 35, and let's make a pit stop in Austin because this one might be going under your radar. Dripping Springs, the 24th ranked team in a 6A, looking to continue their success as they take on district foe, the Buda Johnson Jaguars. And this is just another one of those games that the reason this game is important is because of playoffs. When you think about 26 6A, there's two glaringly obvious teams as to who traditionally is leading that pack, Westlake and Lake Travis. They played last week. Westlake got the win. They're looking the part of being the district favorite, but where does Dripping Springs fall in that? And more importantly, where does Buda Johnson fall in that? 3-2 on the year, 2-1 in a district, so off to a good start. But we'll find out down there in Buda, Texas, from Shelton Stadium. AJ Aravalo will be joining us from that 7:30 p.m. kick, and very interested to see what he thinks about these two teams and where their playoff hope lies specifically after this matchup. So there you go. There are our spotlight games from Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight. We hope that you will join us for free tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. to 10. Nick Laupius and Ishmael Johnson will be on the desk watching, reacting, and having a good time. We hope you will come join us. And I do want to say real fast, this is the largest bye week of the year, the largest off week of the year. There's only 517 games being played, which sounds like a lot. It is, but over a third of the state is off this week. If your team is off and you are not traveling and you're going to stay at home and you're looking for some football to watch or some other teams to get into, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight is the place to be because it'll be a bunch of teams that you might not be familiar with. You'll get instant reactions. We're diving into games. We're listening to the calls. We're bouncing around NFL Red Zone style for you guys. So if you haven't given Texas Football Tonight a chance, do it this week when all of your teams are off and see if you like it.
Yeah, also it's free too, and you can easily pull it up on your cell phone, your iPad, whatever. Like, it's very, very easy to access.
Yeah. So we are pumped up and hope that you will join us tomorrow night. We are Women Talking Football. We're here every single Thursday at 2 o'clock, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We also, quick side note, I think there's been some mishap happening with the podcast version. We are working on getting that fixed. To take you behind the scenes, we transferred all of our podcast feeds onto a different platform, and I think something's wrong with the way that WTF is set up. Ishmael Johnson set it all up, so I'm kind of thinking that's part of the
Probably
problem.
why it's not working very well.
I think this is an on-purpose thing.
Yeah, because all the other podcasts work.
That's weird. That's suspicious.
You just don't like women, I guess.
That's fair.
Totally joking. He is a big fan of our show.
But no, it's probably something that Mallory and I are doing wrong when we're uploading it. So if you've been looking for it on the podcast version, we apologize. We're working on getting that fixed right now. Hopefully we'll have that fixed for this episode. But regardless, you can go back and watch the video on demand on YouTube at any point in time. All right. Joining us shortly will be Davis Baker from out there in K10. We're going to talk some Texoma ball. But before we do that, let's hear from our friends at VCR Now. Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Back here on Women Talking Football, and it is time to jump into our regional breakdowns. This time, we're heading up a little bit northeast of where we're sitting, and that is going out to the Texoma region, where we bring in K10 Sports Director and anchor Davis Baker. Davis, how are you, man?
Good. How about you, Ashley? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, we're pumped to have you. We've had a couple of people on from K10 in the past, and we were excited to see your name pop up there. Before we really get going here, we'll dive into the football in a minute. But first, anybody that comes on the show, we like to give you a chance to tell the viewers and readers a little bit more about you and where you came from. So give us an elevator pitch. Who are you, and how'd you end up out there in Texoma?
Gotcha. Well, I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia. I went to the University of Georgia. So, there I got to cover a lot of good football, obviously covered the 2021 national championship team. And from there, they reached out to me, and obviously in an area where high school football means this much, and we have, the passionate fan base that we do, it was a no-brainer. And so, this is my second football season here. I've almost been here 2 years now, and I'm loving it every single day.
That's awesome. And you hit the nail on the head there, because when we talk about Texoma, and it's one of my favorite regions to talk about because geographically speaking, definitely not near the largest region that we have here in the state of Texas. But if you want to start looking at it in a per capita of smaller region with some really stinking good football teams, does it still, you've been there for almost 2 years now, does it still shock you how it can be a smaller region, but y'all have such incredible talent out there?
Oh, absolutely. And it starts with the longest running rivalry in the state, which is Sherman-Denison. I mean, that week, it just feels like both towns, there's, it's just everyone's waiting for Friday night at 7:00. And then going down, like you said, in the 3A level and the 2A levels, there are so many good players and talented coaches as well. And I just think it starts, with the culture that we have here, and everyone wants to be better. And I think it's kind of like an iron sharpens iron thing where, every team being good makes every other team better. So it's a lot of fun to cover.
It is definitely the domino effect there, and I think it is easy, at least right now, to point where that lead domino is, and that would be the Gunner Tigers. We obviously have seen so much success out of them in these handful of years, going to the state championships, almost 4 different times now in the past 5 years, winning a couple of them. Well, I guess 4 if you're counting where we think that they'll end up this year. But take me back specifically to that Brock game, because let's be honest, Gunner played a lot of teams that were just not in their weight class to start off the year. How impressive was that win over Brock to you guys?
For sure. Well, last year when they went to Brock, they won 21-16. And, that game went down to the wire. And we kind of figured that would be the same case this year. I thought we were going to have a really close game. Our first couple game of the weeks were blowouts. So, our new guy, Adam Ogburn, he was hoping for, a close game. But Gunner went in there and they just set the tone early. I mean, I think they were up 21-0, and I think they were up 28-6 at half. And they don't really take their foot off the gas pedal. And that's what's so impressive about Gunner, the speed they play with, the cohesiveness they have. Obviously, it starts with Coach Jake Fizel and his staff. He's been there for a long time now. So that was definitely a statement win for them, because a lot of people, I feel like, coming into this year thought, Gunner did have a very impressive senior class last year. Guys like Ethan Sloan, Ivy Hellman, Ashton Bennett all graduated. But this senior class, it's not as big as last year's, but they, I think, wanted to make a statement, and they certainly did that with the way they played Brock.
And I don't think you can really say that Gunner has exceeded expectations this year. I think that they're on pace to do very well, just like they've done the past couple years. What are some of those teams in the Texoma region that you think have done much better than expected or just already exceeded expectations for this season already?
Gotcha. Well, I'll start with the Tioga Bulldogs, a team in 2A D1. They had a coaching change this summer. Chad Rogers, who was previously at Denison, went to Tioga for 2 years. Then he moved on to Sanger. And, a lot of times when you have a coaching change, it's because the team was down. That wasn't the case. They won the district for, I think, the first time ever last year. They've only been playing 11-man for a couple seasons. So they bring in Zach Birdwell from Lubbock Coronado, and he was a guy that you guys put on your 40 under 40. Mm-hmm. And this guy's just a brilliant offensive mind. I mean, I remember the first time I talked to him, we talked for probably 30 minutes, just, off camera, just about football and how he wanted to spread things out. Their first game was playing Collinsville, who's a top 5 team right now in 2AD2. So that was tough. They lost that game. And then their only other loss was by 1 to Howe at 3A school in overtime. So other than that, but I think what we're going to see from Tioga this year is how they played in that Valley View game. They beat them 66-20. And so I think that offense, even though they did win the district last year, I think that they are a team that can play deep into November this season.
Following Coach Birdwell on Twitter is one of my favorite Twitter follows because he is just consistently tweeting out film breakdowns, and I'm a nerd, and I just love it. So we're a big fan of Coach Birdwell out there. I do want to ask, obviously, I think everybody across the state, you would be mistaken not saying, hey, our expectation is for Gunner to be playing on December whatever down in AT&T Stadium. Do you think that there's any other team in the Texoma region that legitimately could make their way all the way down to Jerry World come December?
I do. I do want to say quickly, I think Bells is still a really good team this year. They didn't go anywhere. They just have to get over that Thanksgiving hump. They've played on that Thanksgiving week the last couple years. And unfortunately, holidays cut their season short, I believe the last 2 now. But Collinsville is a team that I actually believe has a chance. And, if I was a betting man, then I might put money on them to make it. They just returned so much. They were already good last year. They made it to the regional finals. They have 9 starters back on defense, 6 on offense, and that starts with their quarterback, Logan Jenkins, who's currently leading the state in passing yards, almost 2,000. And so I would say that Collinsville is a team to look out for in 2AD2.
Yeah, we're a big fan of Logan Jenkins here. We're actually going to talk more about him a little bit later. But as for right now, aside from Logan Jenkins, I know that Gunner is just always stacked with players to watch. What are some players that you have seen so far this year that have really, really impressed you?
For sure. It starts at the quarterback position. They've got Walker Overman coming back, and he was a guy that, battled for that job at the start of last season and then just kind of took command. And, he's just kind of the perfect quarterback for that offense. He's probably 5'6" on a good day, but his speed is there. His decision-making is there because playing quarterback in that offense is difficult. You got to make multiple reads on almost every play. But, Gunner wants to play fast, and that starts with their quarterback. And I think he's just done a tremendous job. Obviously, Cannon Lemberg, a guy going to SFA on the outside. Now, Gunner, they've opened it up a little more. They don't throw it all the time. They are still, I'd say, a run-first offense. But obviously, it's great to have that threat out there. And then Jace Martin's a guy that just going with the theme of speed, really impresses. And then in their back end, having Colin Peacock, a guy that's getting some Power 5 offers as a junior. Just seeing him grow. He played really well in the state championship game last year. I believe he was the defensive MVP. So, he's holding it down in that back end. And when you have a guy like that at a 3AD2 school, it can really be, impressive.
Oh, definitely.
All right, Davis, before we let you go here, this is the hardest hitting, most important piece of journalism that we always ask each of our guests. And so when we inevitably come out and visit y'all out in the Texoma region, where should we eat before the game?
That's a good question.
I didn't prep him for this, so this is off the cuff here.
I'll go with Old Iron Post in Sherman.
Okay.
That's a place that's always been good to me. Buffalo chicken wraps never done me wrong. It's an older place. It kind of gives you, I don't know, but it just gives you sports bar. They've got, Sherman jerseys hanging from the wall, Austin College jerseys hanging from the wall. So great atmosphere. Makes you feel like you're about to go to a game. So I'll say Old Iron Post.
All right. I love that when you said buffalo chicken wrap, Mallory was like, I think I've been there. This woman is obsessed with buffalo chicken wrap. So you nailed the answer. Well, there he goes. He is Davis Baker. You can follow him at Davis Baker TV, the K10 sports director and anchor out there in the Texoma region. Davis, thank you so much for hopping on with us, and best of luck this season. Hopefully we'll see you at AT&T Stadium come December.
Yeah, thank y'all. That was a lot of fun. I hope so too.
There he goes, Davis Baker, our now new friend who also loves buffalo chicken wraps like Mallory.
So I've been to an Austin. Here's the backstory to this. Yes, I've been to an Austin College game before.
Okay.
So I think we went to go eat there afterwards because that name really rings a bell. And then he said the buffalo chicken. I was like, I bet I got that.
Yeah,
it's been a couple of years, but I was like, I think that's what I got there. So when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, that rings a bell.
Oh yeah, Mallory gets two things when we go to restaurants: chicken tenders or buffalo chicken X. Like whatever, it could be a salad, it could be a wrap, it could be a sandwich. We don't know, but if it has buffalo chicken in the name, that's what she's getting. Anyway, appreciate Davis hopping on there. Love all of our friends out there at K10. And this is just a really fun region when you start talking about the level of talent for how technically small it is. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the ranked teams, the currently ranked teams in the Texoma region. After that, Mallory will hit us with the players that you're going to want to watch. But we start off in 3A Division 1 is the number 10 ranked Pottsboro Cardinals. That was really hard for me to say. Good Lord.
There's a lot of boroughs.
A lot of boroughs.
The Texoma region.
Correct. That is a very underratedly good point. We'll start. Okay, hang on. We will start with Pottsboro. That's a good name to say in a British accent.
It sounds like a British town.
It does. It's not by any stretch.
No.
But made it to the regional semifinals last year. They did lose their quarterback to graduation, but how about you allow me to reintroduce you to Major McBride, the senior running back linebacker. Are you talking about him in players?
I'm not. Okay,
fantastic, because get this. Here's your fun stat of the day. Pottsboro is averaging 288.3 rushing yards per game. Major McBride is averaging 232.5.
Oh, so he's their offense, basically.
This guy has been insane on the ground. Not to mention, he's leading the team in tackles, a true two-way threat. But it's just funny because back when I was on the sidelines all the time and I went to a couple of different Pottsboro games, it was always up in the air. They want to torch you in the air. They want to go. It was the high-flying Cardinals, and now Major McBride said, LOL, we play on the ground. And he has been just exceptional. They have been using sophomore quarterback Caden Humphrey. He's been doing really good. I think that it's got a bright future ahead of him. He's been connecting really well with senior wide receiver Cameron Saunders. So they definitely have that extra sort of that extra level of being dynamic, but Major McBride is the person. They're going to try and continue that success tomorrow night and grab their first district win against Mineola. Moving on down now to 3A Division 2, and this is always a fun one because these two teams always seem to be ranked, but especially the number 1 ranked team in the Gunner Tigers. They're going for their 4th title appearance in the past 5 years. If they were to win it this year, this would be their 3rd in the past 5 years. It would be back-to-back after they just destroyed Poth in this 3A Division 2 state championship last year. They are off this week, but guess what? Here they go against Bells next week, and that's the number 9th ranked Bell Panthers. Coach Del West running the slot team mafia like always.
That might be a good game to get on Texan Live.
That is not a bad idea as we produce on the fly. If anybody else takes it, we're coming after
Incorrect. You. Nope, Gunner has our heart.
Man, it's the three-headed snake here. The three-headed snake of the slot team mafia with junior running back Easton Helgren, who has been outstanding this year. Senior running back Hayden Allen and junior fullback Bryson Thompson. They will just wear out a defense. They're averaging 354 rushing yards per game in just 4 games.
Yeah.
354 rushing yards per game. The defense has looked really good, very quick to the ball. But another big point of their defense, too, is still Easton Helger. And this kid has been unbelievable. And I went back on and looked at some of the questionnaire stuff that the coaches had sent. And, you'll see a lot about Bryson Thompson coming into the year and all that stuff. But junior running back Easton Helgren, I think they knew he was going to be good, but I don't think they knew he was going to be this good. That kid has looked outstanding on both sides of the ball. So, next week 7 matchup that will definitely decide that district.
Yes,
but
definitely.
I think Gunner's definitely the favorite, but Bells is really good, man. Really, really good.
I think all across the board, I just think Gunner is just one of the – and it's also – I think it's going to come down to the coaching, too.
Yep.
I mean, I think Fizel's a phenomenal coach, and I just think that this Gunner team is so disciplined, and they have been so disciplined in the past that it's probably going to come down to one of those, who's going to out-athlete each other and then who's going to be coached better.
Yep. Yeah, halftime adjustments are always really big, and that is the thing, because say if Bells gets out and actually punches back early – Gunner hasn't had anybody do that.
Right.
How do they respond
handle
after that? But that's the thing is, can you punch Gunner early? No one has been able to do that thus far. I don't know if anybody else will be able to do that, or if anyone throughout the entire year will be able to. But if Bells comes out swinging in that first quarter, that'll be very telling, because Gunner doesn't have to bounce back because they just absolutely annihilate people from start to finish.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So very, very, very excited for that one. And finally, we rounded out down in the smallest 11-man classification, 2A Division II, the 5th-ranked Collinsville Panthers out of District 8 down there. Garrett Patterson, they were a surprise last year, man, regional finalist, but they knew that the target was going to be on their back this year. I know that this is a guy that you're going to talk about later, so I won't go too far in on it, but quarterback Jordan Jenkins,
Logan Jenkins,
yes. Sorry. He, unreal.
Yeah.
Absolutely unreal. We talked to their coach two weeks ago, before their game with Cupper, and they ended up falling in that one, 42-35, but keep in mind here, Cupper is the 4th-ranked team in 2A Division I. So not only did they punch up a classification, they also punched up and played a state-ranked team in the top 5.
Almost beat them, too. I mean, it's a one-score game.
Almost beat them. So they're going to try and continue that win. I believe they're off this week, but they play Celeste next week. So just jam-packed talent in the smaller classifications there in the Texoma region. But let's talk about some of those players, because I'm dying to.
Correct. I love doing this segment.
Yes. Logan Jenkins is crazy. I can't, I got a stat. I'm ready.
Correct. Well, you got to wait till the very end.
That's what I'm
he's
saying.
Last on our list. But starting off strong, Denison defensive back Kenyon Kelly. He's the number 14th ranked safety in Texas, according to our very own Greg Powers, director of recruiting. And through 5 games this season, he already has 37 total tackles, 26 of them solo, 2 tackles for a loss, and 1 fumble recovery. I'm mixing up my words here. 1 fumble recovery. And Coach Whitson describes him as a violent and explosive and has an ideal build really for a safety. He's listed at 6'2", 180 on the questionnaire. And his speed is really what sets him apart from the rest. He's a multi-sport athlete that obviously excels in track too. I think he runs pretty much everything that sport has to offer. He's just so fast. And he's currently committed to UTSA over programs like Baylor, LSU, Michigan State, Tennessee, and TCU. And how about this? He's the highest rated recruit that UTSA has ever got in program history, and dang, they're getting a really, really good one.
Yeah, man.
Fast one too.
I remember when he announced that, and we were looking, I mean, especially, okay, it's one thing to say it against Baylor. They're down pretty bad right now, but, when you throw in a team like TCU, it's man, that was a huge get for Jeff Traylor and his staff, and they're really going to pay dividends because you mentioned it. His speed is impressive, but to have that speed with the build that he has, is what makes him an ideal candidate for a defensive back because he's got both.
Yeah, his frame is perfect
and
for that.
you can definitely tell that there's still room to add good muscle weight to that as well.
Right, exactly. Moving on down to Gainesville quarterback and defensive back Cade Searcy, an elite two-way player that, I don't know, I guess according to some people, he's kind of flying under the radar just a little bit. Maybe it's just because he's got a smaller stature. He put up insane numbers, though, last year as a junior, and he returns this season as the leading passer, the leading rusher, leading tackler, and he leads the team in interceptions. And yeah, he put up all those numbers as a junior. Over 27 total yards on offense and 27 offensive touchdowns, 85 total tackles, 4 interceptions, and 5 forced fumbles last season. And only through 5 games this year, he's put up over 1,300 yards in total offensive yardage and 22 touchdowns. And easily on the defensive side, 22 total tackles and 3 pass breakups. He's done an outstanding job this year. He's insanely fast, too. So have you ever heard of the account Real Analytics? It's a Twitter account. I don't know how well known it is.
Okay.
But it's an AI sports tech and data company that evaluates video to measure athleticism and speed and talent and a bunch more. It kind of helps, I guess, recruits, or I guess college recruiters look more into a video aspect of a kid if they can't, come down and see him or something like that. But Cade Searcy put a video out there of him running on a breakout run, and he capped out at 21.2 miles per hour, according to Real Analytics.
Well, that seems good.
So, yes, very, very fast. Very, very fast. He's a senior, and he's got offers from Jackson State, East Central, and Missouri Western. I think it's probably because he's just smaller in frame size. But he's a really, really elite two-way player and a fun guy to watch for Gainesville. We've kind of already talked about him, but let's mention him a little bit more. Gunner defensive back Colin Peacock, and he's back for another year of domination for the Tigers. And as a sophomore, he won, just like Davis said, he won defensive MVP in Gunner State Championship win over Poth back in December. And he's got, again, an ideal frame for a safety. He's 6'1", 185 pounds, and he's just got explosive playmaking abilities and just a nose for the football. He's got 6 offers, including one from Baylor, Oklahoma, North Texas, and UTSA. And yeah, he's still only a junior.
Yeah.
Having those kinds of offers as a junior is insane.
Oh yeah, no, he was so fun to watch in that state championship game last year. I mean, he was eating Poth for lunch.
Yeah,
he's very, very good. I think that if he grows even a little bit more, it'll continue to come in. But the athleticism is there, and especially playing at this level, his athleticism is put on display pretty easily. But he's a fun player to watch.
And I didn't put him on this list too, but also from Gunner, wide receiver
Cannon Lindbergh.
We love him. He came in to this very studio back in the summer to commit live on Texas Football Today, where he will play football at the next level for SFA. So
yeah.
He's doing really, obviously, like Davis said, he's doing really well. He's kind of the star power of that offense.
Yeah, which is good to see him back and healthy,
Yes.
because he did injure his shoulder when we were down at 7-on-7. You and I actually watched
Right.
we were talking to his father when it happened, and his dad just kind of stopped talking, and I was like, I'm going to walk away now. Y'all have a good day.
Right. Very good to see him back and healthy and killing it on the offensive side this year. Moving right along, we have already kind of mentioned him. Bell's running back and linebacker Bryson Thompson. He returns for his junior campaign after he put up massive numbers as a sophomore, especially on the defensive side. Over 120 total tackles on the season, and 8 of those tackles for a loss last year. And through just 5 games, he's run for 296 yards and 3 touchdowns and has recorded 27 total tackles on it this season. Remember when you said that the Bells offense was averaging how many 300s?
354 rushing yards per game.
Yeah, so most of that is from this guy right here, Bryson Thompson. He's a two-way player for a reason, because he's just insanely athletic, and you can literally place him anywhere on the field, and he's going to do really well.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Again, we need more fullbacks.
Correct. Yes.
Bryson Thompson is a definition of why we need more fullbacks in football.
Yes, correct. Yeah, he is a fullback. I put running back on here.
Yeah,
but
same
on
difference.
here
It's a slot T,
yeah,
so
right,
literally
right.
any of them could be running backs or fullbacks or tailback or whatever.
Yes, but yeah, we need more fullbacks. And then to round it all out, let's go Collinsville quarterback Logan Jenkins. And heading into the season, he was one of the top passers in the entire state last season with over 3,400 passing yards. And like Davis said, he's the leading passer currently in the state, and he's about halfway there to beating his number last year. And only through 5 games this season, he's put up almost 2,000 yards through the air and 22 touchdowns. And he's throwing at a 75% completion rate, which is crazy. He's got, I didn't put it on here, but I think I saw he only has 2 or 3 interceptions on the season, which is just insane to me.
Yeah, I believe he led the state last year. I think he was the number one. Yeah. He led the state in yards last year.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And he's currently leading right now. He's number 1 in Texas currently. He's 13th nationally right now.
Yeah, that's
from
insane.
little old 2A Division II Collinsville is 13th nationally in passing yards at this point in the season.
Yeah, no, he is explosive. I mean, he's just one of those. And he's so accurate too. He's like one of those quarterbacks that can just put it right in those tight windows. And he can spot receivers just so well. And I wouldn't call him as much of a dual threat this year. He put up a ton of rushing yards last year as a quarterback, but I wouldn't call him as much of a dual threat this year. But he does have that ability to extend plays when pressure does eventually come. And he's just the heart and soul of this team, and a huge reason the Pirates are bound to make it another huge run in the postseason, and maybe even to AT&T Stadium, like Davis might have said. So
they're looking good right now. They really are,
really
and
good.
they've got the guy.
They have the guy. So there you go. 5 fun players to watch. And I only put 5 on here, but we've talked about it through this whole show. There's so much talent in the little Texoma region. It's hard to fit every single player that I think you should watch on a tiny little graphic. So that's why we mentioned a couple more. But a lot of fun, insane talent. A lot of kids that just put up really fun numbers, too. And a lot of 2A athletes, too, which is a lot of fun to talk about. So
it's a fun region, and there are definitely some fun games growing up. Again, we said Bells and Gunner, the battle for that district in 3A Division 2 is happening next Friday. So incredibly excited for that. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. We want to say thank you again to Davis Baker, the sports director out at K10, for joining us. A couple of reminders. If your team is off this week, even if your team's playing, but if your team's off this week and you're just looking for some random football games to watch, please tune in to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight tomorrow night on TexanLive.com or right here on YouTube. We will see you then. Also, coming up on this YouTube page here in almost exactly an hour, 5-star athlete Terry Bussey from Timpson will be committing live on Dave Campbell's YouTube page. So we hope that you will come join us. Powers is out there right now setting up. That's why we're hopping off so we can get his stream all set up. But Terry Bussey will be making his commitment live at 3:45 right here where you're watching this show on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page. We hope that you will come, and let's see where the former Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year will be landing. So incredibly excited for that. You got anything else?
I know where he's going, but I'm not going to say it.
But do not say it.
But still watch.
And I was going to say,
still watch
let me let's put a massive asterisk on that of we think we know where he's going.
True.
As
90% sure is what Powers said.
Yes, I was just going to say, as confident as we ever are about where these athletes are going, there is
never know.
always the 1% chance that either they walk into our studio or we go out to see them and they just completely switch the moment that they sit down at the tables.
This happened before. We've seen it.
Yes. Yes, like being honest, when we make graphics, we always make multiple graphics because
we have to.
We don't really know.
Yeah, exactly.
So very excited to see where Terry Bussey is going. Join us back here, youtube.com/Dave Campbell's TF to see that at 3:45 today. Until then, we will see you next Thursday on Women Talking Football.